local institutions are heavily weight on Finnish real estate, looking to expand into other countries, are therefore not sort of a strong purchasing power in their own country, rather sit on lots of sort of stuff that needs to be worked through. I mean, many opportunities present themselves in Helsinki. Having said which, I think there's also, there's a different story for each Nordic country you look into. The story is slightly different on what you would be looking for and what's the driver of your returns. Sweden, I think, is got a very strong GDP growth, and at the same time very low interest rates. I think the gap between expected GDP growth and interest rates is the highest in Sweden, I think, in most countries in Europe, which means we're fueling the economy quite strongly, which at some point in time will translate, I think, as returns on real estate.
Okay, good. Yes.
I think it also depends on what sector you're looking at. I mean, we're talking about Finland and Russia and the relation there. I mean, if you look at, say, retail, there's been a lot of retail that's been constructed along the border, which actually takes advantage of Russians moving across the border and coming in and buying. And of course, with the ruble being impacted as badly as it has, if you look at some of those Finnish retail centres along the border, there's been a terrific impact, and tenants looking for serious discussions about rent reviews, etc., and rental drops. So, but there's a group of investors here that are a very vast and different group from core investors to value add, and I think those sorts of things that I'm talking about create opportunities for the returns for some of the investors here that are very interesting and very exciting, and with a proper asset manager like Genesta or whoever it may be, there's an opportunity to actually work those assets, and you are doing that already. So, and there are groups, we're seeing a lot of foreign capital, I would say. If you look at Finland, the last 5 years investment volumes have been around 2 billion a year, so it's a very small market. But if you look at the actual foreign part of that, last year was a big year, it was about 4 billion, so it was a big increase, but 1 billion of that was a very large transaction from a listed Finnish group selling off some assets into a new co. And I think there's a real opportunity for foreigners at the moment, especially the group in this room, for this target audience to be looking at Finland. The last year, the amount of foreign investment of that, if you exclude 1 billion, we're talking it's the highest amount of foreign investment in the Nordics as a percentage of all the other countries. If you look at Sweden, for example, it was 80% local to local last year, as you mentioned, 20% foreign. But if you look at that 20% of foreign, 50% of that was Nordic to Sweden, so it was Norwegians or Danes or Finns buying into Sweden. So actually the true amount of foreign investment coming into Sweden last year was only 10%. And of that, the lion's share was your client, Starwood, picking up a very large portfolio for about 700 million, which was very much opportunistic value add. Sphere Real, 700 million, pan-Swedish portfolio. And that's where I think the real, for the purpose of this room, the foreign investors looking in, that's where investors can make their mark at the moment on that space.
I was saying I was quite bullish on Helsinki. That doesn't translate into what Andrew, for me, just what Andrew just said, Finland, because as you saw, Marcelo showed his slides, the population growth is in Finland is almost nothing, or expected growth is almost nothing in terms of population. But there's net migration from the countryside into Helsinki. So Helsinki is growing quite healthily. So I think you'd have to be particularly interested in doing investments outside of Helsinki in Finland. I think you'd have to look at the overall situation. I mean, if you grow, you'll have other growth areas, but I think you'll have to pay much more attention to where you go then.